Let's review AEW Dynamite and NXT here in the War Room on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. Let's start things off with two very good opening matches. We have Ricky Starks and Darby Allin on AEW Dynamite and Shotzi Blackheart and Dakota Kai for NXT. I'll start talking about the opening match for AEW Dynamite. I thought this was a very good opening match. The chemistry between Ricky Starks and Darby Allin is very, very good. I thought they were very smooth in the ring. I love how this match was kept inside the ring. I love how there was not much hardcore stuff, none of the body bag stuff, none of the thumbtack stuff. It really showcased Darby Allin as more of a professional wrestler, not really a deathmatch, hardcore type wrestler. Very good. Darby gets the win with the coffin drop onto Ricky Starks' back, getting the pin 1, 2, 3. Now on NXT, we have Shotzi Blackheart versus Dakota Kai. Also very good opening match. Also, these two have good chemistry. Also very smooth in the ring. I will say, though, there was a very, very dangerous spot in this match where Shotzi Blackheart was trying to put sliced bread on Dakota Kai onto the apron, and Blackheart landed on her head. It was like she was channeling Kota Ibushi. For the sake of the fans, she's willing to give her head and neck possible pain, and I'm glad she's okay, but stuff like that shouldn't be happening. But good match nonetheless. Shotzi does get the win with the roll-up as Raquel Gonzalez was distracted by Rhea Ripley. Dakota Kai went for the kick. Shotzi Blackheart dodges it, and Blackheart rolls up for the win. Up next, we have two speaking segments here. On NXT, we have the banter between Isiah Swerve Scott and Santos Escobar, setting up the Cruiserweight Championship match at NXT TakeOver this Sunday. And on AEW Dynamite, we have Cody Rhodes cutting a promo, accepting the challenge of Brodie Lee for the TNT Championship next week on Dynamite in a dog collar match. I thought the back and forth between Isiah Swerve Scott and Santos Escobar was a very solid segment. Good way to give us one last bit of interest in their match heading into this Sunday. I think the match is going to be very, very good. Isiah Swerve Scott, still the only person to have pinned Santos Escobar, while Santos Escobar is trying to tie up the loose end that is Isiah Swerve Scott. Solid segment here. But the segment that we got with Cody and Brodie Lee, this was very good in my opinion. I love the promo before the brawl that we had. Cody Rhodes coming out talking about his training with Al Snow and why we shake hands and how the roster needs each other and why the names on the marquee matter. And Cody Rhodes did not live up to his name on the marquee when he lost in 3 minutes to Brodie Lee for the TNT Championship. After accepting the challenge, Brodie Lee comes out. We get a pull apart brawl. Brandy Rhodes comes out and does a senton off the top rope onto the Dark Order. Anna Jay comes into the mix. Nyla Rose comes into the mix. So it looks like we're not just progressing Cody and Brodie, but also Brandy and Anna Jay, Nyla Rose getting into the mix. So you see 2 or 3 different storylines being segmented here. And that's what I love when you can blur different storylines together. It just makes me wonder, though, could this eventually lead to Brodie Lee and Anna Jay versus Cody and Brandy in some kind of intergender tag match, either on Dynamite or maybe even Full Gear or the anniversary show? Maybe. We'll see how that happens. I'm interested to see what you guys think in the comments too. But NXT had a couple of quick squash matches here. We had Ridge Holland actually losing by disqualification to Cameron Grimes after he refused to come off the ropes on a 5 count from the ref. So he looks strong, but even though Cameron Grimes technically gets the win there. And also on NXT, Kushida beats Tony Nese in a quick fashion show, his vicious side heading into Sunday against the Velveteen Dream. But I want to talk about the next match on AEW Dynamite in great detail because there's a lot to talk about here. FTR versus SCU for the AEW Tag Team Championships. Now, before the match even starts, we get an interview segment with FTR and Tony Schiavone. During that segment, we have Tony Schiavone getting super kicked by the Young Bucks, which this week it didn't really seem heelish. It seemed kind of BTE-esque, more comedic of a response from Matt Jackson there. Was not really feeling it like I was the last couple of weeks where they were acting more heelish. But after that interview, we have SCU interviewing. Before they walk out to the ring, We see Shawn Spears at the entranceway wishing SCU good luck. We know that Shawn Spears is managed by Tully Blanchard, who also manages FTR. So again, this little tease of a 4 horseman faction continues. Who's going to be that 4th horseman? I don't know. The match itself, though, I got to say, when they have 2 very good tag teams in the ring to actually have a very good tag team match, they put out the best tag team matches. You got, I think, arguably the 2 best tag teams, not just in AEW, but in the world. And they showcase why here. Tandem offense was good. Isolation was good. Hot tag sequences was good. Near falls. This had everything in the 17 minutes that it got. I really love the heelish tactics of FTR where they get Christopher Daniels eliminated and ejected from ringside, pulling an Eddie Guerrero type okey doke on the referee. I like how Tully Blanchard tripped Scorpio Sky for the pin there. I believe it was Cash Wheeler pinning Scorpio Sky. I thought that was very, very good. Hangman Page doing some commentary here too. And after this match, we get the announcement of the 8-man tournament. Yes, the 8-man tournament where the winner is the number 1 contender for the AEW Championship. And the finals happens at Full Gear. We only know 3 names. One is Rey Fenix, one is Jungle Boy, and one is Kenny Omega. And once the name Kenny Omega comes out, Hangman Page's face just freezes in shock. He doesn't know what to do and walks away, surprised that Kenny Omega has, in fact, joined this tournament. Hangman Page is trying to become a tag team again, but Kenny just has no interest, as we've seen for the last couple of weeks. It's interesting to see what happens with Hangman Page. I think most people are speculating this is how we get the Hangman Page versus Kenny Omega match. Kenny Omega becomes the number 1 contender, faces off Jon Moxley, takes the title off Jon Moxley. I think that's what most people are speculating here. And if not, let me know in the comments what you guys think. But next up, we have 2 matches here that involve 2 established stars in their promotions and against 2 unknown or relatively unknown talents, showcasing them and those talents really shining. On AEW Dynamite, it's Chris Jericho and Isiah Kassidy. And on NXT, it's Adam Cole and Austin Theory. I think Cassidy and Austin Theory, they both did phenomenal jobs in the ring. Not just from an offensive perspective, not just from a sense of urgency perspective, a ring psychology perspective. They did amazing selling in this match. Isiah Kassidy selling the windedness of being in a singles match when he's normally a tag team wrestler. So the longer the match goes, the more winded he is, and he looked tired as the match went on, and he did an amazing job with that. Amazing job selling the Judas Effect, and a great finish there where he's going off the top rope and a big Judas Effect from Jericho for the quick 1, 2, 3. NXT, you have Cole out of the gate just beating the crap out of Austin Theory, and Theory doing a great job selling for Adam Cole, who is pissed, especially that Austin Theory called out Kyle O'Reilly earlier in the night. Before the commercial break, you got Theory finally getting some offense in, goes through the commercial break, he's back on offense, really shines here. Adam Cole does eventually get the win with the last shot. Great match for both AEW Dynamite and NXT, showcasing 2 very good talents in their early 20s. So the sky is the limit for these 2. I'm excited to see where these guys go. And I'll admit, I was surprised with the outcome of this Jericho and Cassidy match because I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a quick 5-minute match, a 10-minute match, if it was going to be mostly one-sided, how Cassidy could do against a guy like Jericho, but he held his own and he looked very, very good. He looked like a veteran in that ring. He really did. Unfortunately, we did get a little bit of a dull spot for both shows here. Orange Cassidy, not Isiah Kassidy, but Orange Cassidy faces 10 in a quick match where he wins with the beach break. Kayden Carter beats Xia Li in a very awkward pinning predicament there. I think there wasn't really much going on here in either match. And if I had to say, I think the Kayden Carter Xia Li match actually progressed a little bit more storyline-wise than what we got with Orange Cassidy and 10. I think the only thing maybe that was of real entertainment value was John Silver doing the best friend hug spot with 5 and 10. Other than that, I mean, I just thought there was nothing going on there, but it did pick up for both shows here as we have MJF going backstage and going into the Inner Circle's locker room, offering gifts to the Inner Circle, giving jackets to everybody except Sammy Guevara, which was very interesting. I wonder why it was Sammy Guevara that didn't get the jacket. We'll probably see as the weeks progress, but from a promo done in, I believe it was either late October or early November last year, we had MJF and Jericho asking each other, do you want to be in the Inner Circle? Do you want me in the Inner Circle? And they went back and forth for a good 2 minutes. They bring this back here. Do you want to be in the Inner Circle? Do you want me in the Inner Circle? I thought that was very good. And obviously those fans that have been watching since the beginning probably remember that promo way back then. So I thought that was a good tie-in. Sammy Guevara calling MJF a loser, but Jericho's like, maybe he's not. So we'll see where this story progresses. It makes you wonder, does MJF enter the Inner Circle because he's looking for a faction? Some may say he might be the fourth horseman in AEW. He might create his own faction, or does he join the Inner Circle? We'll have to see with that. But with NXT, this face-to-face with Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly. I don't know what's going on in professional wrestling lately, but there's this thing going on where tag team wrestlers are breaking out and becoming singles wrestlers, and in their first big feud, making you care about these championship matches. Now, we saw it on SmackDown with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions, and it delivered. We're seeing it here with Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor. Kyle O'Reilly, I think, made you care not only about this match itself, but him, making you feel like, hey, this kid actually has a chance at dethroning Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. It makes me want to watch TakeOver 31. It makes me want to see where this goes because we've been seeing these hints of possibly splitting the Undisputed Era. Do we see a Randy Orton type moment where O'Reilly wins the title and Cole, Fish, and Strong turn on him? Do we see Fish and Strong split and you have O'Reilly and Cole as separate? Do you see Adam Cole turn on Kyle O'Reilly? Because there was a lot of hints of real support for Adam Cole. Do they split that up? I love where this is going, and I love that there's so many places you could go with it. And Kyle O'Reilly did an amazing job with his promo. Finn Balor did an amazing job as always. And Shawn Michaels, he didn't do too much, which was good for him. He was there just to moderate. He didn't have to really showcase himself too much. Very, very, very good segment. For very little build, I'm invested in this match. I want to see that NXT Championship match on Sunday. So before we get to the main event, though, I do want to talk about the in-ring return of Britt Baker on AEW Dynamite. She does have a quick match against Red Velvet, but I got to say, I don't know what happened in that hiatus while she was injured, but she learned how to really throw it in her strikes. She looked so much smoother in the ring. She looked very, very good in this small amount of time in the ring. It looked like she wasn't even injured at all. She looked very, very good. Hopefully this can, escalate to her getting into the number one contender spot for the AEW Women's Championship and maybe getting her that Women's Championship that I think was initially the plan from the beginning, making her the face of the women's division, and hasn't quite gotten there yet, but maybe now that she's back and maybe this match here could be the start of that. She looked very, very good. But now let's head to the main events of both shows. Jon Moxley against Eddie Kingston's chosen challenger, The Butcher, on AEW Dynamite. That's for the AEW World Championship. And for NXT, it's Damian Priest and Io Shirai going up against the power couple, Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano. I thought the tag match was a very good indication of how these two championship matches are going to be. I think they're going to deliver at NXT TakeOver 31. I thought this was a very good tag match. I think, honestly, there was some really good chemistry between Damian Priest and Io Shirai. It was really good. Very good chemistry. If they ever decide to do intergender tag divisions in either NXT or WWE, you might want to consider these two. That, they never tagged before, but it looked like they tagged for years. Looked very, very good. And of course, Candice LaRae and Johnny Gargano, they get the win, doing some heelish tactics. Low blow, DDT, win, bam. That's a closing shot where they have the title. So are we going to see Gargano and LaRae with the titles, the power couple with gold at the end of NXT TakeOver 31? I personally don't think so, but, it could happen. It could happen. And it wouldn't be a surprise if they did anyway. But this main event on AEW Dynamite, it felt like Butcher had a lot of offense in this match. And when I mean a lot, I mean like a lot. I don't know if Moxley really had any offense before the finish. It really looked like Moxley did nothing offensively in this match. Now, I understand why they did it, because they want to make the Butcher look strong, because ever since the Butcher and the Blade came to AEW, I feel like they did not really do a good job of actually showcasing them as a strong tag team, not really giving them strong wins on AEW Dynamite. And in the losses that they have on AEW Dynamite, they kind of look kind of foolish. Whereas this match, the Butcher was working Moxley's leg, working his back, really pounding it to him. But unfortunately, Moxley got the quick paradigm shift DDT into the chokehold, tapping him out. So it really helps that the paradigm shift gets put over very nicely, because it makes it feel like that can happen in an instant. And once it happens, the match is over. And that's what finishers are supposed to do. It's such a lost art in today's professional wrestling when people are kicking out of finishers left and right. But before we go to my decision on which show is better this week, let's look at the ratings. And there was a lot of shows on television Wednesday night. Not only do we have the aftermath of what I think was a presidential debate, you have several MLB playoff games. You have game 1 of the NBA Finals. You have the pandemic special of South Park. You have The Masked Singer. A lot of television on. And despite all that, both shows went up. AEW Dynamite got a 0.33 in the 18 to 49 demographic, while NXT got a 0.19. In the 50 plus, they got a 0.37 for NXT and a 0.34 for AEW Dynamite. And total viewership, both are up. AEW Dynamite with 866,000 total viewers, where NXT got 732,000 total viewers. Now, as far as which show was better, in my opinion, I think when you talk about that tag match, when you talk about Britt Baker's return, how solid she looked, the Jericho Cassidy match, the storyline progression with the 8-man tournament and Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, the pull-apart brawl with Brodie Lee and Cody, the opening match with Ricky Starks and Darby Allin. I think this week it was an AEW Dynamite win here. I think that was the better show. But NXT, you had Shotzi Blackheart and Dakota Kai with a very good match. Adam Cole and Austin Theory with a very good match. And the Balor O'Reilly face-to-face was a very, very good segment. So if you thought NXT was better, I'm not going to argue against it, because you could seriously make the argument for both on which show is better this week. And I wouldn't mind if you put a comment below telling me which show is better. And we actually do a little bit of debating on this podcast. If you're new to the channel, we did one a couple days ago where we said whether Tessa Blanchard would be in AEW or WWE. You can click the thumbnail now to check out that next episode. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications to join the conversation. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Squared Circle Psychobabble.